Meeting of Halfmoon Township Supervisors Organizational meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Meeting's being recorded, I assume, live for the CNET channel. First up is nomination for the election of officers. Do I hear any nominations for the election of officer as the chair?
I nominate Patty Hartle for chair.
And one nomination for Patty Hartle.
I nominate Dave Piper as chair.
One nomination for David Piper as chair. Any other nominations? All right, we're going to call for the nomination of Patty Hartle. Do I hear a second?
You don't need to second nominations.
Well, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
No. Nay.
Nay. All right, for David Piper for chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
All righty. Nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Patty Hartle for vice chair.
Do I hear any other nominations? I nominate Ron Cervello for vice chair. Any other nominations? All those in favor of Patty Hartle for vice chair signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Okay.
Nomination for Ron Cervello as vice chair signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
No.
Okay. Got all that, Amy? Ron Cervello is the vice chair. All right. Is there any public comments this evening? Anybody wish to speak under public comments?
Sure.
Ms. Nauman, please come to the front.
Thank you.
My name is Virginia Squire, and I live on
Sorry.
Loveville Road. I would like to say that every January, our nation honors the courage, dedication, and selflessness of Dr. Martin Luther King. Monday, January 15th is a National Day of Service, and I would like to encourage all citizens of Halfmoon Township to perform some act of service on or near that day. Volunteering at a local food bank, helping out at your church, walking down your street and picking up trash, whatever. I think together we can all work to shift the national climate and move to make our community a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything under public comments? Going once, going twice. There'll be another opportunity when the regular meeting starts. If anybody thinks of anything in the meantime. Approval of the meeting dates for 2024. Historically, the supervisors meet on the second and fourth Thursday of every month, but beginning in 2024, we're proposing going to the following schedule. That could be January 25th, February 8th, March 14th, April 11th, May 9th, June 13th, July 11th, August 8th, September 12th, October 10th, November 14th, and December 12th. One meeting a month. Any other required meeting would be a special order by the board. Do I hear a motion to continue with those dates?
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Annual appointments or positions. Motion to approve Township Clerk Amy Smith as Clerk Secretary. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Next up, Township Treasurer and Assistant Secretary Brett G. Laird. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Roadmaster Chuck L. Beck,
This is junior,
Jr.
is that correct?
Junior, not senior. Anyways, do I hear a motion to approve Chuck L. Beck
So
for,
moved.
okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board?
I'll sustain from this one.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. One abstention. Consent agenda, which sets the bond limits, the mileage reimbursements for the IRS rates. The bank depository is First National Bank. The deputy tax collector is Amy M. Smith. Full-time public works laborers Derek Reese. Part-time seasonal is James Smith. Part-time seasonal is Dan Trubax. Open records officer Amy Smith. Code enforcement officer Amy Smith. Open space preservation administration Amy Smith. Tax collection committee delegate Amy Smith. And tax collection committee alternate Brett G. Laird. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Approval of the employees' wages as set by for 2024, as set by Resolution 2023-35 fiscal year 2024 budget effective January 1st, 2024. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, next up, professional appointments. This will be the appointment of the township engineer and fee schedule as a resolution 2024-01. This,
Approve.
do I hear a second?
Or one time. One at a time.
No, we can do them all if we want. Well, they're individual resolutions, so we're gonna have to break them out. So we got a motion, do I hear a second? This would be for Dawn Franson. Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Next one up, Resolution 2024-02, appointment of the sewage enforcement officers. This is through the Center Region Code Office. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion by the board. Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up, Resolution 2024-03, appointment of the township solicitor and fee schedule. It's McQuaid Blasco. Call, do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Resolution 2024-04, appointment of the zoning hearing board solicitor and fee schedule. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Next up, 2024-05, appointment of the zoning officer and fee schedule. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Sorry, aye.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm thinking.
Resolution 2024-06, appointment of CPA firm for the fiscal year 2023 audit.
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call for the question. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Appointment of local emergency management coordinator, Sean Kaufman. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Annual COG-related committee appointments. Board consider action here, executive committee.
Mr. Chair, I nominate myself to be a member or representative to the COG Executive Committee and to the Upper Ball Eagle Halfmoon COG.
I think we should just do them one at a time.
Don't have to.
Well, we'll roll down through them.
Fine.
All right, so got a motion for Mr. Cervello. Do I have a second?
You don't need a second. We didn't do are we gonna do seconds on these? We didn't do seconds. You don't need them on
All right, well, do we have any other nominees?
I would like to put my name in for
Put
the
your name in the
executive
hat
committee.
too.
Yes.
Okay. Any other nominees? All right. All in favor of appointing Mr. Cervello to the Executive Committee, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Yay.
Mr. Cervello is it. Finance Committee. By your nomination.
I would be interested in serving on the finance committee.
Anybody else want to make a nomination? Okay, call for the question to let Ms. Perkins serve on the committee as our finance representative. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, you're it. Human Resources. Who would like to serve on the Human Resources Committee, or who would want to be nominated for the Human Resources Committee?
Question, I know, I'm looking at last year's, and in some cases we had alternates. Do we need to appoint those now?
If we can.
Okay, are we gonna do that as we go through
Well,
them, or
I
come back
I think we ought
around?
to fill out the main seat and then
Yeah.
Okay, that's my question.
decide what we're gonna do,
Okay.
so. Anybody willing to serve on the Human Resources Committee? If
Yeah,
no-
I could, I mean, if no one else is interested, I could.
All right, so I have one volunteer. Call for the question, let Ms. Perkins be, or have Ms. Perkins be, the Human Resources person. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Public Safety. It was Hoover and Savella was the alternate last time. Anybody want to serve on Public Safety?
I can take that one.
Anybody else? Call for the question. All those in favor of Ms. Hartle being on the Public Safety, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? You're on. Facilities.
I can continue there.
Okay. Anybody else want to be nominated for facilities? Hearing none. Call for the question. All those in favor of Ms. Hartle being on facilities signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Climate Action Sustainability. In the past, Don Enstacobi was the alternate, or I mean the main person to be
representative.
on that committee. Anybody else want it? I don't know if she's here tonight or not.
She's not.
Is she willing to serve again?
She is, yes.
Okay. I nominate Don Enstacobi to fill in on climate action and sustainability. Nobody else is making any nominations. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Land Use and Community Infrastructure, the Lucy Committee. Last year were Cervello and Hoover. As alternate, would anybody like to serve on that? Not at this time. All right, we're gonna skip that one for now. Park and Recreation Special Committee, non-voting member. Hyacinth Kim was on it last year.
I have a question about this committee.
Which one?
The Parks and Rec Governance Special Committee, is this a continuous committee? Or does this have a termination point or an end point?
I don't
Do we know?
To be honest, no.
Okay. Well, it looks like it's still standing, so I guess
I-
we'll,
My understanding is they were making recommendations. I'm not sure if they're done with their review or,
yeah, I thought this was because of the project that they were handling the
Ferguson.
Whitehall Road,
yeah.
park project, but I could be wrong. It just seems like it's a special committee, so I'm just wondering if
I think
it's,
it has more to do than
Yeah.
just that particular part.
do we know of anybody that's interested in it?
I haven't heard from anybody.
Okay.
Have you heard from Ms. Kim?
I did, yeah.
Did she say she would serve?
She-
Anybody that care to nominate Ms. Kim?
I'll nominate her.
Well, here's, no, second. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right.
Okay. Now, need people to be backups. I'm willing to be Mr. Cervello's backup on the executive committee. Anybody else want to nominate anybody? Nobody does. Call for the question. Dave Piper, backup on the executive committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, next is finance. We need a backup for finance. Anybody want to be the backup for Ms. Perkins on finance?
I can do that.
Okay, Ms. Hartle. Anybody else? Call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, human resources. Ms. Perkins is on as the regular cover person for that. I'm willing to do it if you can't. If you want me to. If somebody else wants to do it, they can.
That works for me, Dave.
Okay. Anybody else?
That human resources, right?
Yep. Call for the question. Appoint Dave Piper as alternate.
Aye.
Signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Public safety. Who wants to be alternate for public safety? Yes, no, maybe. About facilities,
I could be the alternate for facilities.
Ron. Okay. Anybody else? Call for the question, signify by saying aye.
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 How about, anybody want to do land use and community infrastructure? I guess we'll leave that one up to, we'll think about it till next meeting. Center County Metropolitan Planning Organization Coordinating Committee. Anybody like to do that?
Do we have a listing of who was the past individuals?
Yeah.
For those two, for A and B, Tammy?
Yeah.
It was, well, Barbara Spencer was on the coordinating committee and she does not wish to continue.
Okay.
Dave, will
I'll
you
take,
check it?
I'll take technical, yeah, again. Anybody want to volunteer for the planning? We'll just leave it open. All right, Dave Piper for the MPO technical. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, next up, CNET Board of Directors, Karen Miller, and I think she came in. Do you still want to do that?
Yes.
Okay. I nominate Karen Miller. Anybody else want to say anything? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. You're in. Open Space Board Representative.
I'm willing to continue.
Okay. All those in favor of Patty Hartle continuing on Open Space Board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Spring Creek Watershed Representative, I'll do that. Unless somebody else wants to. All right, call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
State College Borough Water Authority Representative. Anybody want to do it? Anybody not want to do it?
Well, I was the rep last year, and I gotta tell you, I attended half the meetings and nothing on their agenda. I've read all the agendas. Nothing in their agenda pertained to Halfmoon Township at all.
Yep, I know.
I mean, it makes sense
And
to even.
and now they're not even
attend-
gonna run the water line out here to the development at the cemetery, so. All right, we'll just leave it open. Upper Bald Eagle.
And we aren't even on the agenda for their meetings.
No, because we don't have any water service out here. Upper Bald Eagle Half Moon Council of Governments Representative.
I want that one.
Ron wants that one. Is anybody else?
I nominate Patty for that.
Okay, got a Patty and a Ron. All right, well, we'll do Ron first. Ron, in favor of Ron, say aye.
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 Okay, it's settled then. All right, other municipal appointments. We'll just do this in a mass vote. Vacancy Board Chair Barry Hamilton, term expires annually. Planning Commission, 4-year term, Mark Hartle. Term expires in 12/31/2027. Planning Commission, 4-year term, Roseanne Hoover. The term would expire 12/31/2027. Open Space Board, Joanne Fisher. Term would expire 12/31/2027. Open Space Preservation,
Or,
yeah, and Ted Brown, 12/31/2027. I guess we're gonna have to make a decision on that one.
right.
Zoning Hearing Board, John Hoover. Term would expire 12/31/2026. With the exception of the Open Space Board, does anybody want to make a motion to
I'll
adopt these
move,
people?
I'll move to approve them.
Got a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up would be Open Space Board, Joanne Fisher. She is the current member of the board.
I nominate Joanne.
Okay, got a motion to nominate Joanne Fisher. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded.
I
Any
nominate,
discussion by the board?
yeah, I nominate Ted Brown.
Okay, we got a nomination for Ted Brown. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Okay, we're gonna vote for Joanne first. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Joanne is it. Appointment of delegates to the PSATS Convention, April 14th to the 17th in Hershey, PA. I guess now that we got to appoint a delegate, we have to decide if anybody wants to go. Any members of the board wish to get down and represent the township to vote at the annual conference? Check out the trucks and the free beer tent.
Seem to know about that.
Been there, done that, but not as a township supervisor. Anyone?
Even if I wanted to, I couldn't. My upcoming surgery, it's gonna,
All right.
I'm not gonna be traveling for 4 days.
I can't leave the area because of my obligations, so it will have to be somebody else.
You can put me down.
That Patty?
Yeah,
You going to the beer tent?
your first stop.
All right. All right, all those in favor of appointing Patty to be our representative at PSATS, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up, working supervisor appointment. This is part-time seasonal work, 256 hours to Charles F. Beck. Do I hear a motion to approve? I move that we go forward with that. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Mr. Beck.
You abstain.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to say that. I thought, well, I can't vote for myself again.
Right.
Resolution 2024-07, Township Schedule of Fees have been slightly revised to adjust for, against COG adjustments, mostly. Do I hear a motion to approve the adjustments in the resolution of the, and in the fee schedule?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion by the board? Call for the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Call for adjournment of the regular meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Call for the question. Aye.
Aye.
All right, 7:25, I guess. All right, 7:26, gonna call the regular meeting of the Township Board of Supervisors together. Again, we're still on YouTube, CNET, or CNET's YouTube channel. If anybody would like to make any public comments, now is the time to do it. Anyone, get it all out of our systems. Approval of the minutes, December 14th, 2023 minutes.
Move to approve.
A motion to approve, do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion by the board, comments, questions, spelling? Call for the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda. On the consent agenda is the general fund amount, paying the bills in the amount of $222,676.17. And I think Brett said there's about $150,000 in there for a transfer.
That's what made the general fund so high. Yeah.
Right. We didn't spend it, it just got transferred.
Correct.
Open Space Preservation Fund, $455, and the State Highway Liquid Fuels Fund in the amount of $14,599.48.
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, next up, CNET, closed captioning proposal. And I know you gave us some good numbers. You want to just run down that real quick and maybe just kind of touch on why this is important?
Yeah, it's all yours, Tiffany.
She can't run the pedals back there because now she's out front.
I'll tell you what. Hi, I'm Cynthia Hahn, I'm the director of CNET. Essentially, beginning in the first quarter of 2024, we are now going to be technically able to have all of our programs that are on our website, cnet1.org, captioned. Currently, the programs on YouTube are automatically captioned. It's not the greatest in the world. There are a lot of words that YouTube, the artificial intelligence doesn't quite know what to do with, but the YouTube programs are captioned currently. The service that we're offering, which is entirely optional, some of our members will do it, some of our members won't, offers you the option of having the online CNET version of those programs captioned for $17 per hour. So for example, if you were to have, the 12 meetings a year, you'd be looking at about 24 hours if each meeting were 2 hours long. I'm just making, sort of estimates here. $17 per hour for that, which would be about $400. So it's a very, really affordable price for closed captioning. We think that our service is going to be more accurate than YouTube's because it allows us to create files containing words like last names, so that when our captioning hears the word Cervello, it will know how to spell it, rather than it trying to decide what that word might be. So we anticipate that our service will be more accurate than what is happening on YouTube. But that's the gist of it. You're charged by the hour for what you actually use. It is entirely optional. My estimate is it would probably be something in the area of $400 per year, and you would simply be invoiced on your quarterly CNET invoices. So that's in it in a nutshell.
I was gonna ask you why it would be important for CNET to do the CC, closed captioning rather than YouTube. Yeah, I know what you're referring to in the misspelling on YouTube.
Right. And so, people, the thing with media these days is that, everybody doesn't go to the same source. I mean, some people like to watch it on YouTube. It's up rather, immediately. It's the live version. Other people prefer to watch the programs on our website because they're chaptered by agenda item. So depending what you're doing, that may be a preferable service. So this is sort of another way for us to increase the accessibility. There are some institutions like the State College Area School District that were told by the government, you absolutely must have all of the places where your website content is to be accessible. So it's very important for them. And so it's an optional service. We know that not all of our members are going to want it, but a lot of them are. And the captioning should be excellent and probably of a better accuracy than the YouTube. But
Well, if I go to your CNET channel or website, it will all be closed captioned, the same as it would be on YouTube.
that's correct, if you sign up for the service.
Right.
Right.
I have a question. Was there something that caused this to be proposed?
I think basically two things happened. The first was this capability became available through our server manufacturer. So for us, it was a matter of, does it fit into our workflow and what does it cost? 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, it wasn't really something that we were technically prepared to offer, and it cost a lot more. And so our server manufacturer, Telview, made this service available to us so that all we really, we check the box and the program is captioned. And I think at the same time, you had the issue where the State College Area School District was very interested in having their programs captioned. Bellefonte Borough was very interested in having their programs captioned. So I think it's a couple things that have come together at the same time, and we're able to do it, and we're able to offer it as an optional service, which I really think is what our members want, is, they can do it or not, depending on their priorities.
Have there been any issues with legal liability with regard to not providing access, as it's called under ADA?
One of our member organizations has been involved and has signed a settlement agreement with the Department of Justice about offering accessibility for the hearing impaired.
Okay.
And this is one of the factors. Now, a lot of these settlement agreements will include the provision that you need to offer an ASL interpreter, which, I personally find to be not the answer at all. About 1% of the hearing impaired in the United States understand ALS. And so to do something where only 1% of the people with that particular issue are going to, be satisfied, where I think that captioning is something that's great for really, the vast majority of the hearing impaired. So I think captions are really the way to go.
Thank you.
Any discussion by the board or any other questions that anybody has? Okay, well, you say it'll run about less than 400 a year probably if we keep our meetings under control.
Probably so. I mean, it is going to, but we're not going to, it isn't a situation where if your meeting is an hour and 1 minute, we're going to charge you for 2. If you use an hour 1, it'll be an hour 1 and it'll, all be together. So that's my estimate for your meetings.
I hear a motion to go with the,
Someone wants to ask a question. Is that
please.
So if I were to go back and watch on YouTube, am I able to do that?
Yes.
So if I went and watched on YouTube, the captioning in the form that it's provided, it will be there?
Yes, correct. But, you know, remember, not all of our members live stream on YouTube. So that is not available for all of our, for example, the State College Borough Council does not stream live on YouTube. So for them, their programs on our website are the only place to watch them online.
Interesting.
Yes, sir.
Cindy, that, we were talking about the YouTube one, that's only live, right? Or can you go back and?
Oh, no, that's
you can go
archived
back-
as well.
You can go back and get it
Mhm.
later on.
You do need to turn them on, so you need to click on the little CC. And sometimes when I do that, it'll direct me to click on a gear and choose the language that I want. But that is not just live, that
Okay.
is,
So you can go back and.
yes,
I've
correct.
watched them live on the CNET, but I haven't.
Uh-huh.
I've gone to your website for that.
Right, right. And the chaptering on our website is really great for most people, so that's where a lot of people like to watch it.
Okay, so when you have this program, every service that you provide will have the closed captioning through your server and
Not every service we provide because it's not on TV. So it will not be captioned on television.
so on channel 4
On
or whatever they call
Comcast,
it.
Channel 7,
Channel 7.
right. So I can't say every service,
Okay.
but I can say everywhere online.
All right. Is there a reason why the television would not show?
The way that Comcast delivers PEG channels, and CNET is what is known as a PEG channel, the way that Comcast delivers those is not compatible with this particular captioning.
Okay. All right. Anybody like to make a motion
I'll move
to,
to approve it.
I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion by the board?
I think one of the important issues is for the amount of money is to avoid any potential liability. So I think accessibility is a good thing.
And since we know ADA is not, would not be pleased without it, so, given what's happened with Bellefonte, I think we need to do what we can to stay current. Any other discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approved.
We'll let you know when it's going to begin. It'll be
All
in the
right.
first quarter for sure.
Thank
Cindy,
you.
thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And if we're lucky, we'll get you out of here in about 2 minutes, and that'll be less than 40. Okay, open space preservation discussion. I know there's been some questions brought up about the open space board and activities of, making some changes. Mr. Cervello has also brought up about doing an audit, and our attorney's brought up a few things, and I think it would be prudent for this board to sit down with the open space board in a regular meeting dedicated to, just to discuss open space, find out where the township supervisors are, where the open space board is, where we would like to go, and prepare any questions we might have for our solicitor, and also possibly take a look at having an accounting firm do an audit, not on our program itself, but on the long-term viability of the product projections, to see how much ground we can still acquire, or are we at our limit, are we over our limit, are we under our limit, do we need a limit? We need to find out, because right now, we've had some projections out there, but I don't know that the people that were doing them were necessarily financial people. Ms. Hartle?
They will, are you talking about our forecasting spreadsheet that the Open Space Board
Which I thought was
creates?
really good.
It is very good, and it's
Yep.
been reviewed and gone over several times by financial professionals. Fellow that developed it was in finance all his life, and then we had Joe Vigione, the director of finance from COG, went through it and made updates, and we've never had any issues
Right.
with it.
Well, I think at this point, first and foremost, I would like to have a joint meeting. We have a new member of the Board of Supervisors. I think it would be very appropriate to have a joint meeting with the Open Space Board to talk about where we'd like to go and if we'd like to acquire more property or freeze or change the program or something, I think that discussion needs to be had. Just my personal opinion, but
Mr. Chair, I think that the program needs to be reviewed from a legal standpoint as well as a financial standpoint. We've never had a disinterested third party look at this, and I'm concerned about the long-term viability of this program, given a 2 mil tax. And I'm also concerned about changes being proposed when we're taking an action to go from a open or annual lease to a 99-year lease to a permanent easement, that at the same time, when someone doesn't like the cost of doing that, then we're presented with a recommendation to modify the ordinance in order to accommodate that person. And that, to me, I think the attorneys alluded to it in their response to us when we asked them about the legality of doing that. Their response indicated more to me than just, no, you can't do that, but rather there are issues, I believe, there are issues of potential discrimination issues as well as constitutional issues with the program. And I'm not an attorney, and neither is anybody on that board or on this board. And I am not a CPA, and neither is anybody on that board or on this board. And I would like an independent review of this program, and that's what I recommend, and that's why I believe it's important. But I think a good first step is for us to meet jointly with the Open Space Board and clear the air on what we want, what the intent is, but let the professionals, the registered or licensed professionals, do a review. I think it's timely to do that. It's a program that benefits a relative few number of people in the township at the expense of the majority of the people in the township. So I believe it's timely for us, because we've seen changes to this program. And when we talk about democracy, the referendum that was approved by the voters back in '93, I think it was, that program, this current
96.
program does not resemble that program at all. There have been incentives provided on numerous occasions, and I believe it's time to review this for feasibility and for legality, financial feasibility and legality. So I think your idea of a joint meeting is an excellent step. I believe that this current action that's being recommended here be tabled until we can have that meeting. I believe that's indicative of going through a proper process.
Ron, what incentives, you talked about incentives that have been allowed that are not reflective of the original program.
Original program
what
was a
incentives?
99-year lease, and then the ordinance was changed to have an advance payment, with a 20-year advance payment, with that payment coming off the back end of a 99-year lease, the last 20 years of the lease, not the first 20 years of the lease, the last 20 years. Okay, that means, in my mind, it means payment, it means advance payment and annual payment. Not only that, but we have a CPI that's applied to those annual lease payments that is, I believe, the last time I checked, it was in the 6 to 7% range, somewhere in there. If we got to be careful that the amount of money we collect from our tax base grows at a sufficient rate in order to accommodate the growth in the cost of this program. And any time an incentive is provided, that adds cost to this program. I believe a projection that Brett and I talked about a year ago had the cost of this program, or the life of the program, over a 99-year period, is about $16 million. And I believe that's an understatement of the long-term costs of this program. Now, what does that say? Well, it says, we'll probably be gone, we'll all be gone, everybody in this room will be gone in 99 years, but future generations have to pay this cost. I'm not proposing, by the way, that we get out of this program, get rid of the tax, or get out of the program. We're in the program. We have to fulfill our contractual obligations to those people that enter into this program. And I believe that, and I agree with that, and I support that. However, I do not support continued changes to the program that will have an impact long-term cost impact without a complete review of this program at this point. It's been changed numerous times since the voting public voted the referendum to create the open space program. And it sat for years, it collected money, but we didn't have participation, so to sweeten the deal, there were certain changes made. I get it, you know, boards can change ordinances. However, the democratic process should be, if you make significant changes to something like that when you're imposing a tax, you make significant changes to a program, those things should be brought back to the voters too. Now, that's not always feasible, I understand that. However, this is one instance where changes have been made that I believe are going to be unsustainable.
Let's,
And I want an answer to that question.
Let's hash the details at a meeting
Okay?
dedicated to
Fine with
that
me.
discussion. Ms. Hartle?
Yes, I'd like to comment on a few of those things since I've been on the Open Space Board for many years. And Dave, I know you were there from the beginning. The Open Space Board was created by referendum, and that's a state program. And then we created ordinances to manage that program. Any ordinance changes were brought from the Open Space Board to this board and then had legal review, legal counsel before they were implemented. And as far as the advance payments, there's an option for $10,000 or at $20,000. I don't think we've ever paid the $20,000 advance payment. Is that correct, Amy?
It's up to 20, so it could be 5, 10, 15, or 20-year advance. Yes,
20
we have
years.
a
We're
20-year
speaking
advance,
years, okay.
yes. We have had some 20-year advances that were paid out.
There was,
Most of them were 20-year advances.
and some were 10.
Some were 10.
But not everybody requested an advance.
Not everybody requested.
And the other thing that we found out through looking through our projection spreadsheet is that it is prudent to turn those 99-year leases into permanent preservation. That saves us money in the long run. And I think that was the original, I know that was the original intention, to get the land in 99-year lease so it could be held. And then as we were able, then to permanently preserve those pieces of property. And that is what a direction of the Open Space Board is now currently to seek permanent preservation, which we took our first one. We did partner with the county before on Denny Thompson's property, but that was not in the open space program. Joanne Fisher's was in the open space program and then moved to permanent preservation.
Hers was a conversion.
Conversion, that was
From
the first one.
One type of system to another.
Right.
So.
And then that was our learning experience. So from that, we had a lessons learned with Ms. Fisher, and she provided us information as to what went well, what did not go well, because if we want people to take that leap, we have to bring down the barriers to that, to permanent preservation. One of the things she brought up is that she had I forget what the exact amount was, it was around $1,300 to $1,500 attorney fee for a termination agreement to terminate the 99-year lease to go to the open space, to go to the permanent. And she just said that for her, she paid that, and she said, in the future, for us to maybe look at that, because that could be a barrier for somebody trying to go to the permanent preservation. So that was the one item on here, is to potentially change the ordinance so that if you're terminating for that particular reason to permanently preserve, that you would not have to pay the legal fee for that termination agreement. Because if the township, if we did that, then any other one that used it in the future, we could use the same, tweak the agreement and use it forward. So that was just a lesson learned, and she brought that, we asked for information from her, and she provided that information. And
All right, well-
it's the same with the other things with the title insurance.
The reason why that I think we ought to hold this meeting is because I don't know that every member of the board is, I know Patty's well-versed on this, and I am from an historic standpoint, but not necessarily the current standpoint.
Right.
So I think all the board members need to be there, and I think it's important that the Open Space Board is there, and we can have a frank discussion in the open about the program. We can get all the concerns out, and then if we go back and we ask our attorney to take a look at certain things to make sure we're in the right, or we're not in the right, we don't know. But we need to do that, and we can take a look at the projection numbers, and if we decide to do an analysis, we can do the analysis.
Right.
But before we start telling the attorney to do something, we need to know what the board wants to do. Because if the board doesn't want to do something, or going off in another direction, we need to make sure our legal
And
counsel
we need
is
specifics.
on base
Right.
with that.
But Dave, I'd like to point out one thing.
Sure.
With regard to the legal fee, yes, there was a legal fee. What was the benefit to the property owner for the permanent easement buyout? What was the dollar benefit, or up to the maximum dollar benefit? 400,000? 450,000? Well, we're not talking small dollars here. Talking significant amount of money. So there's a cost benefit to everything. You know,
It's also a savings for us, for them to move out of
On
our
the-
lease program into a permanent program, correct?
when does it benefit us?
Money-wise, yes.
Does it benefit us immediately, or does it benefit us 80, 70 years down the road?
All right. Well, what I'm looking
That's-
for is a motion to have a joint meeting.
I move to have a joint meeting.
Okay, everybody okay with Valentine's Day, February 14th? That would be the same as the Open Space Board had scheduled. Our apologies to our spouses.
Is there any other board meetings on the 14th?
Not in the evening, what do they meet, 6:30
Plenty
or
of committee
7
meetings, I
o'clock?
should say.
Meet at 7 o'clock
February 14th.
at 7 PM.
I'm open.
Dinner, dining, and dancing
I'm open.
afterwards. All right, I'll second the motion. Any other discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nobody? Anybody? Okay, next up's adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
There, second. Moved and seconded. Call for the question. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate it. I didn't quite